okay, we're going to start charging for
You're right.
pets. But you have to look at your competition. You have to look at the market. Make sure you're staying up to date with your laws
Yeah.
because these types of things will kind of sneak up behind you. So if you want to look at more detail, you can actually go to.
Alrighty, folks. Or if you are in the landlord game, one of the things you must do is pay attention to laws. They are ever changing. For example, in Colorado, they have just passed a law that will go into effect shortly about pet rent and putting a cap on pet rents. To have this conversation, we're going to have the lovely Dana, the CEO of Hemlane, because I don't own any units in Colorado. And frankly, I don't care, but I know there's some people that do. Dana, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me again, Michael.
Absolutely. One of the things I really appreciate about Hemlane, and it has to be one of the more, I don't know if you call it hard, maybe you call it tedious, is staying up to date with all of the changing laws that affect landlord, given all the thousands and thousands of landlords you have across the country. So why don't we talk specifically about what happened in Colorado and then more generally about how you stay on top of laws and where people can go to on Hemlane to see what's changing.
Great. So, yeah, just to kind of kick it off and talk about pet rent and pet deposits. Michael, if we would have spoken, I think, 6 or 7 years ago, talking about a landlord charging for pet rent or a pet deposit, we probably wouldn't have even discussed it.
You're
And
right.
what happened was multifamily basically came out. A lot of the multifamily operators came out and said, okay, we're going to start charging for
You're right.
pets.
Yep.
There's additional damage, so we need a additional security deposit. And
Mhm.
then on top of that, we'll charge it as rent for having, some of them have even like pet parks and things like
Yeah.
that in them. Well, what's been interesting over the past 3 years, I've noticed it more predominantly, is more and more landlords are having pet deposits and pet rent. So much that when Hemline started, we didn't even have a form there to say, what's your pet rent and pet deposit? And now we do.
There you
And
go.
we will syndicate that information to Zillow and Truly and HotPads and PadMapper and Apartments.com and all of them when you
Mm.
advertise. They actually don't have forms for that, so we just put it into the bottom of the description of what those
Ah.
amounts are. So
Okay.
we
Okay.
it's basically like putting those two variables and fields together. But the
Sure.
reason we did that was because we wanted smaller time landlords to have the same resources as these
Yeah.
institutional or the same processes as these institutional.
Yeah, it's funny you bring this up. I've been charging pet deposits. This is from memory, so I might be off. Probably, certainly 8 years.
eight
We,
years.
yeah, we've been
Wow.
we've been doing pet deposits, but before that, the 12 or 13 years before that, I think the only thing we did in our leases is we had criteria like no dangerous pets. We had sizes, we had
Yeah.
quantities, but we weren't charging. At least from my memory, I could be wrong, but we weren't doing that. And even to today, Dana, I don't think I charge quote unquote pet rent. Like I don't charge $25 because again, I don't have a dog park. I don't have, the extras
Yeah.
in theory. So I do certainly charge deposits though. Everybody who has pets has a deposit, unless of course it's a I don't know what unless the dog is a service dog or something. Then
Service
there's
or
like
emotional
yeah,
support you can't charge
it's
for.
no just we can't for emotional. I thought it was only service, but okay,
Yeah, both you can't charge for. So,
okay.
question for you on that.
Mhm,
With the deposit, is it
mhm.
non-refundable or is it refundable?
I'm sure it's refundable. I
Okay.
haven't read the lease in a while. I'm sure it's refundable. Yeah.
Okay. Because there are some who do, including the larger operators that do
Mhm.
non-refundable. And
Okay.
so we do have a drop down for that.
I will
Um,
ask because maybe we'll change.
yeah, there you go. Well, if you're in Colorado, though, you can't.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not in Colorado.
So with the bill that is passed and signed, but it goes into effect on January 1st, 2024. So if you have your property advertised in Colorado, make sure that you follow this new law. The pet security deposit is limited to $300, and it
Per
has
pet.
to be refundable.
Perfect.
So there's that portion of it. And then the
Okay.
second is that if you charge pet fee, a lot of landlords will choose one or the other. Some do both.
Mm.
But you have to look at your competition. You have to look at the market. And in the pet fee, it's $35 or 1.5% of the rent, whichever is higher.
Oh,
So
whichever
that
is higher. Okay.
yeah, that's the max that you can charge for pet fees.
Mm.
And that's the rent every single month.
Okay.
And so keeping that in mind, and also just kind of looking out there, it doesn't matter if you're in Colorado or any other state, make sure you're staying up to date with your laws
Yeah.
because these types of things will kind of sneak up behind you. And so you definitely want to, if you have a
Yeah.
local apartment association, jump on their threads to get up to date laws and information. Tenant landlord associations are great for that as well, just to make sure, because I'm sure that now that Colorado has done this,
Mm.
I guarantee other states are looking into
California will be right behind them, I'm sure.
exactly. We'll be talking about this probably in a month with California.
Exactly, exactly. Well, one of the things I love about mom and pop landlords using hem lanes is when you have one of these laws, you start adding pop-ups or alerts or whatever right away, so landlords get aware of that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So in this particular case, it will, I think December 31st, right at midnight when everyone's celebrating the new year in Colorado. It will make it where that there is that limit on it,
Okay.
and that restriction in place for anyone who is in Colorado.
Very cool. Well, one of the things I wanted to ask about, again, it's got to be one of the more difficult or tedious tasks that Hemlane takes on is tracking all of these laws across the country. Because again, it could be states, it could be cities, it could be regions within cities. If somebody wanted to go to Hemlane to look at maybe a resources tab, or
Yeah.
where would someone go to kind of try to stay up to date on some of these things?
Yeah, we do have tenant landlord laws in there, and then also just some helpful articles about, specific articles about service animals, emotional
Mm,
support animals, aggressive breeds and insurance, and can you limit that with emotional support animals? All of that kind of stuff is at www.hemlane.com, and you'll see resources right at the top.
oh,
So from
great.
that resources tab, you can go ahead and look at those. We also will link to the civil code. So if you
Okay.
want to look at more detail, you can actually go directly to the
Wow.
state's article on it to read it as well. But we'll summarize a lot of the laws in there, and then you can go in and look at it further.
Yeah, one of the things I would do if I was a new landlord and I hadn't done a trial yet of Hemlane is I would do that trial. Again, they can get it at hemlane.com just to see what it's like to advertise, track expenses, communicate with tenants. Again, a lot of folks are getting interested in real estate investing, but they haven't been landlords yet. So why not take a 14-day trial, play with it, see what it's all about. Again, hemlane.com. Is that correct, Dana?
That's correct. And just mention one rental at a time because you do get 20% off your first year,
Okay.
and there is a free trial on it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.